The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to Eagle Point Funding's webinar, Department of Defense Small Business Grant for Air Platforms, due October 24, 2018. I'll be today's presenter, Avraham Mel. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales Support here at Eagle Point Funding. Here's my contact information with my email and my phone number. Feel free to reach out at any point. I'll give you a quick intro to what the SBIR STTR award programs are, and I'll also talk to you a little bit about federal funding and how it works. And then I will run through the 15 topics for today's webinar on air platforms. So that should be the order of today's webinar. I'll start off now with the background on SBIR STTR. SBIR stands for Small Business Innovation Research, and STTR stands for Small Business Technology Transfer. They're both small business government programs that award federal grants to small businesses, and it's sort of the staple federal grant program for small businesses to receive funding. They support R&D and financing of cutting-edge technologies. About $2.5 billion are set aside annually for these programs. SBIR programs have awarded over $43 billion to research-intensive American small businesses to date, and about 160,000 awards have been granted. For more information, feel free to visit the very helpful www.sbir.gov website. The Small Business Technology Transfer Program, STTR, is important to understand just so you're familiar with the terminology. It's the sister program of the SBIR program and involves partnering with a research institution, such as a university, and you would receive a grant in conjunction with a university or research institution, and you would split the grant with them to do the R&D together. Just so you understand the size of the program, it's about 0.45% of the extramural research budget for federal grants, which comes out to about $250 million for STTR. So it's a smaller program, but there is definitely plenty available for that as well. So if you're looking to partner with a research institution, your route would be STTR. Otherwise, if you're going at it alone, you're going to want to do the standard SBIR, or Small Business Innovation Research. Okay, so I've kind of summarized for you the basics of SBIR STTR. Here we'll continue a little bit more background. What are the four goals of these programs? To meet federal research and development needs, to increase private sector commercialization of innovation derived from federal research and development funding, to stimulate technological innovation, foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by socially and economically disadvantaged persons. There are three phases to the SBIR and STTR programs. We're going to focus on the numbers for SBIR. They're slightly different, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just stick with SBIR. For the three phases, SBIR Phase 1 is $150,000 for 6 months. Phase 2 is $1 million for 2 years. And Phase 3 is commercialization focused. There's no specific SBIR funding allocated for Phase 3, but there is usually about an award of $1 million as well for Phase 3. Here's a little background information on the Department of Defense, or DoD's SBIR program, specifically through the Department of Defense. There are 3 SBIR deadlines annually for the Department of Defense in February, June, and October. The deadline here is October 24th. Over half of the annual SBIR budget comes from the Department of Defense, which is about $1 billion for this one department alone, so it's the biggest player in the space. So really, if you're looking for a federal grant, this is kind of the biggest deadline of the year, and there's a lot of opportunity available through the Department of Defense for a lot of different cross-sections of technology. Quickly, some stats about who typically wins grants through the Department of Defense. Half of the awards are to firms with fewer than 25 people. A third of awards are to firms with fewer than 10 people. And a fifth are minority or women-owned businesses. So there's a lot of opportunity for the smaller players, clearly. Here's a quick list of the 11 departments that participate in the SBIR program. As opposed to SBIR, on the next slide, you'll see STTR has only 5 participating programs. So I just listed it out so you familiarize yourself better again with all the departments. And also just so you know the difference between who participates in the two. Here you see everyone. And these are a list of all the different departments. So just you can glance at them quickly. I'm not going to read through all of them. And here is STTR, the Research Institution Partnering Program I mentioned. They have only 5 participating agencies, so just be aware of that. It's good to know. Okay, now I've reached the middle section of the webinar where I'll give you a little overview of federal funding in general. There's a budget for this year of 2018 of $176.8 billion, which is larger than last year. There's expected to be about $151 billion again, but it was increased to $176.8 billion. There's quite a lot of money available. So definitely keep in mind how the size of this number and how much federal funding is available for small businesses. If you're looking to receive funding for your business, federal funding definitely is a good route to take. Here's a pie chart of the different kinds of grant mechanisms available. So I've been discussing SBIR and STTR today. There is another major route that you can win a federal grant, and that's called a BAA, or a Broad Agency Announcement. This makes up the majority of the federal grants of the budget. It makes up 96.4% of the budget. SBIR is only 3.2, and STTR is only 0.4. So keep in mind, again, that the SBIR STTR makes up only a small part of the federal funding available, but that's the topic for today. We do work with BAAs. If you're interested in working in BAAs, we can help you, and definitely look into it if you've never heard of it, or if you're used to only working with SBIR. BAA is a really big opportunity. Here's a quick breakdown of dilutive versus non-dilutive funding. What is non-dilutive funding? Here it explains pretty well. Non-dilutive funding means you don't dilute any of your equity shares, and there's no equity transfer. This is different than a venture capital type deal where you have to give up equity of your company in order to receive funding. There's also no interference with additional board members or advisors for non-dilutive funding. And also, lastly, all IP rights are maintained in non-dilutive federal funding, whereas in venture capital, you usually might have to give up some IP rights. Okay, so now we've reached the topics portion of the webinar. There are 15 topics, so we'll begin with topic number 1. Method of developing helicopter source noise models using parameter identification techniques. This is through the Army. The topic is helicopter noise models. Accurate helicopter source noise models are required by the U.S. Army in order to estimate the acoustic impact of proposed helicopter operations. Conventional helicopter source noise models used by current mission planning tools are empirical in nature, relying on measurements of helicopter noise captured by ground-based microphone arrays during steady flyovers. This topic proposes the development of a time domain-based hybrid method where a mid-fidelity helicopter aeroacoustic prediction method is calibrated to measure data using a parameter identification approach. The topic calls for a business to develop a semi-empirical tool for generating time domain-based, non-dimensionally scaled acoustic spheres from limited flight test data. Topic number 2, incremental partitioning to minimize upgrade change impacts. This is through the Army again. The topic here is aviation systems. The idea is to develop a capability for analyzing the ripple effects of incrementally updating architectural models of mission systems specified in in AADL, or Architecture and Analysis and Design Language, and or SysML, the Object Management Group Systems Modeling Language, in a manner that allows a user to understand and minimize the recertification impact of the architectural model change. The capability should be integrated with current model-based tools that automatically generate and analyze integration and configuration data. Topic 3, Autonomous and Remote Refueling Grounding System. This is through the Army again. The topic is Autonomous Refueling System. The Autonomous and Robotic Remote Refueling Point, or AR3P, concept is a project addressing the range and on-station time limitations and mission risks faced by current military rotary wing RW aircraft. The AR3P project is an operational energy initiative for aviation refueling led by the U.S. Army Aviation and Missile Research Development and Engineering Center, or AMRDEC, as a means to reduce soldier exposure and reduce demand for fuel on the battlefield. As part of this effort, a capability gap has been identified in currently available commercial off-the-shelf, or COTS, and government off-the-shelf GOTS technology to achieve remote and autonomous electrical grounding. This effort will be focused on closing that gap. Topic number 4, Autonomous and Remote Fuel Agitation, Filtration, and Certification. This is through the Army. The topic is Autonomous Fuel System. This topic is similar to the previous topic. According to the DoD, the initial concept has been demonstrated but has identified capability gaps in some technical areas with specific gaps in fuel agitation and certification. In this SBIR, feasibility and maturation of an autonomous and remote fuel agitation and certification approach is needed to determine the feasibility of executing autonomous fueling missions with no human in the loop. Topic number 5, the Shape Memory Alloy Heat Engine. This is through the Army again. The topic is heat engine for aviation platforms. The idea is to design, model, and demonstrate a shape memory alloy engine with efficiency approaching 50% of Carnot's limit that converts the waste thermal energy with low temperature gradients to power applications on an aviation platform. Topic number 6, ultra-low outgassing, focusing, and hard seal capable materials for HPM Radomes. This is through the Air Force. The idea here is material for Radomes. The DoD is looking for someone to propose utilizing thin film deposition and characterization capabilities to develop innovative impedance matching coatings for improved radio frequency transmission through Radomes by minimizing surface reflection. Radomes are circular spherical covers for antennas on planes. The idea is to implement frequency selective surfaces, or FSS, for HPM Radomes, low reflection in band, significant out-of-band rejection, and investigate the possibility of focusing the radio frequency beam with new innovative impedance matching coatings. In other words, they're looking for new advanced materials that will be able to cover the antennas on a plane with less disturbance for radio frequencies. Topic 7, design framework for optimized multifunctional coatings. This is through the Air Force. The topic here is simply materials. Develop a multi-physics-based optimization methodology to design multifunctional materials, including high-temperature special technology coatings for use in engine, aircraft, high-temperature exhaust regions. Topic number 8, automated whole body OML outer mold line defect assessment. This is through the Air Force again. The topic is automated inspection of coatings. The Air Force is looking for someone to develop technology options for a future automated whole body inspection capability to interrogate the health of aircraft surface coatings and structures. Topic number 9, non-destructive evaluation of composite substrate below thick top coat materials. This is through the Air Force again. The topic is to find an original substrate material checking method. The Air Force is seeking new and novel non-destructive evaluation technologies to enhance system affordability by characterizing composite substrate structural damage in multi-layered curved structures through thick specialty top coatings. The geometry of interest include highly curved surfaces, both concave and convex surfaces with one or more thick top coat layers. Again, just to reiterate, the idea is to come up with original non-destructive means to check substrate materials that are underneath coatings without digging up the coating in order to check it. Topic 10, Field Level Transparency Inspection System. This is through the Air Force. The topic is Aircraft Material Checker. Develop a field level capability to inspect windscreen canopy coatings to take measurements of the electrostatic discharge layer under polycarbonate or acrylic materials. The tool must provide a reliable and accurate assessment of the performance of the discharge layer to the user. Technology must be applicable over curved surfaces in a highly physically constrained area. Again, the topic is simply an aircraft material checker, or a means to check and make sure that the aircraft material is safe. Topic 11, Standalone non-invasive sensing of cyber intrusions in FADEC for critical aircraft system protection. This is again through the Air Force. The topic here is aircraft cyber defense. They're looking for someone to develop a standalone cyber intrusion detection system prototype for real-time non-invasive detection of cyber intrusions, i.e. malware, backdoor algorithms, overloads, anomalies, etc., an aircraft full authority digital engine control or FADEC system. We're nearly through all 15. Topic 12, reverse engineering technical data packages for development of alternate sources of supply for DLA Nuclear Enterprise Support Office. The topic here is nuclear weapons information management. The idea is to improve product availability and increase competition through the development of source approval requests, or SAR, by small business manufacturers for national stock numbers, or NSNs, with government-provided technical data. Topic 13, research and testing of unmanned aircraft systems, UAS, for the delivery of food and supplies in support of contingency operations. Again, this is through the DLA, the Defense Logistics Agency. The topic is drones. The idea is to develop and promote innovative UAS delivery solutions in support of contingency operations and natural disaster relief efforts in the subsistence supply chain. The DoD is looking for UAS drone technology that reacts quickly in support of mobilization operations, such as disaster relief efforts. They're looking to test the delivery of food and water to a specified location, simulating an area affected by natural disasters in the U.S. Topic 14, a remote egg oiling system with autonomous and automated target object identification for nuisance bird management. This is through the Navy. The topic is drones. Nuisance birds on the Department of Defense facilities can exact heavy tolls on military operations, training equipment, for example, aircraft and helicopters, and personnel safety for all DoD services. One of the most well-established and least controversial methods to reduce local numbers of nuisance birds is applying oil to eggs in the nest. The Navy is seeking a self-navigating or autonomous with semi-autonomous option for a self-searching system that will be able to identify eggs in nests for nuisance bird species and provide the operator with the option of treating target eggs. Last topic, topic 15, asynchronous active 3D imaging. This is through the NGA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. The topic is 3D laser imaging. The DoD is looking for breakthrough tech that involves decoupled asynchronous active 3D imaging systems comprised of one or more independently mobile laser transmitters and receivers that would allow laser transmitters and receivers to be disconnected and operating independently of each other while providing high-resolution 3D image capture. Okay, so we've covered all the major topics for air platforms. Let's give you a little bit background on Eagle Point Funding and how we work. We're an international consulting firm specializing in non-dilutive funding. We're the biggest of its kind in the world. We were established in 1999. We have 70 plus full-time employees and 250 plus active clients. A little bit about our successes. We use a multi-submission strategy. We have over $1.5 billion to date and roughly $70 million annually. And we're a success-oriented business model, which means we charge a success fee to work with us. A little bit about our model for this specific award. It costs $5,000 to work on SBIR Phase 1 with a success fee of 5%, and the same thing for Phase 2, $5,000 with a success fee of 5%. Okay, we've reached near the end of the webinar. We're up to the Q&A portion. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions in your toolbar, and we'll be happy to answer them. I'm going to have Josh Barone, our head of business development, I believe, join for the Q&A quickly. Josh, you there? Okay, I don't hear Josh, so maybe I'll just handle it on my own. So I'll start off with a simple question. Well, actually, I apologize. I'm just looping in Josh Barone, our head of business development, quickly. Hey, Josh, now you're with me?
I'm here with you. How are you, everyone?
Doing good, doing good. Okay, so I think let's ask 2 questions for the audience, unless we have any questions from them. That are one, like a simple one to start, and then another kind of a general, like talking about air platforms. So the first question I wanted to ask that comes up a lot, and I maybe in detail want some clarity just for the audience. It comes up. What's the deal if you are an international company versus a U.S.-based company? What rules do you need to know in terms of eligibility for grants for SBIR or BAA?
Okay, sure. That's a good question. And we definitely hear that a lot. When it comes to the world of SBIR, you need to be a US-based company. And not only do you need to be a US-based company in order to be eligible for the SBIR grant specifically, but you also need to be majority owned by US citizens, not green card holders, but US citizens. So as long as your company is owned 51% or more and doing R&D based out of the US, then there's no issues with eligibility. And for any international companies that are on the line, don't be dismayed, because SBIR is a great grant mechanism. However, it's a small portion of the actual grants that are available out there, only 3.2%, which I'm sure Avram talked about earlier on in the webinar. And the other grants themselves are largely open. A lot of broad agency announcement grants are open for international companies, and even organizations that maybe you would think first glance, like DARPA, which is a branch of the Department of Defense, highly invest in foreign companies when looking for R&D needs and in certain areas of development they'd like to see progressed, despite them being not on U.S. soil or not owned by U.S. citizens.
Okay, awesome. Great, Josh. I got even more broader kind of question this time for the second question. I don't see any questions from the audience yet. Can you tell us a little bit about today's topic, air platforms? I wanted to say, I noticed that it mentioned materials topics, cyber topics, energy topics, kind of crossed a lot of different topics, and also drones. Can you talk about air platforms, maybe focusing on drones, like what we should know from a federal funding perspective?
Right. So as far as is a large global perspective, when they're looking at drones, air platforms, or even more software or related technologies, cybersecurity, etc. What we see is that the federal government is investing in a very wide array of technology. I'll give you an example. We know that the drone budget, which includes procurement as well as R&D, is upwards of $3 billion. We know that the cybersecurity market is upwards of $14 billion and likely going to grow in the next couple of years on all those fronts. And we also see that that from pretty much whether it's AI, which it seems like every technology coming out today has some sort of aspect of AI, or something which is more defense related, that the government is really widening its horizon, and it really has been investing for a long time in a wide range of technology, and pretty much each year is only increasing the amount of technologies that they're interested in. And there's a big question of why. And I think the answer is pretty straightforward. One, the government is investing in a wide range of technology because they want the technology to be developed primarily for US citizens, but also for the world as well. Because once they know about that technology, then it'll advance the world, it'll advance the United States in a certain direction, which will be benefiting of the global village, the global community, and specifically benefiting for the US government, especially with the government knowing that, wow, this technology is out there, and maybe if the technology is interesting enough for the federal government, despite not having the right to demand so, they could purchase your technology in a long-term agreement, and that's actually something that could be quite lucrative because the federal government typically orders in bulk. However, you reserve the right to sell to whoever you like to. And just because you received a federal grant doesn't mean that you have to engage in the federal government with a contract, because all rights are yours. All IP rights are yours. All revenue rights are yours. And every aspect of your technology is yours. However, now that the federal government has invested in you, they've advanced the US economy in a certain direction. They've advanced the global village of technology in a certain direction, and that they're happy with. In fact, they see quite a nice return financially on that investment.
Great. Okay, awesome. I don't see any questions from the audience, so with those two, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining us.
My pleasure. Take care.
So bear with me 1 second, sorry. Okay, we're going to wrap up the webinar with that. Quickly, this is a list of the upcoming webinars. We have Tuesday Battle Space and Wednesday STTR. Feel free to join us for those as well. And then finally, to conclude, here's my contact information one more time. My phone number and my email address, and also a link to my calendar. If you ever want to book a call, you can click on that link. It'll lead you to my calendar. Okay, one more thing before we conclude. I did want to mention, if you saw any topics today that you thought were relevant to something that you're doing, that you think you might have some revolutionary tech that would apply to one of these topics, feel free to reach out to us anytime, and we'd encourage you to apply, and we think your best chances are with us. So definitely keep us posted, and we'd be happy to help you. Anyway, with that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you so much for joining, and I wish you a great day. Bye-bye.